This Hour Has 22 Minutes is a satirical examination of daily events. Some viewers may not share this sense of humor.
Warning. The preceding warning can be seen repeatedly on the new Warning channel. All warnings, all the time.
Canada's dollar is continuing to take a beating on the world money markets, driving interest rates skyward.
Late last week, the head of the Bank of Canada, Gordon Thiessen, made a statement concerning the rates, managing to speak for a long time without saying anything.
Central bank governors want to give boring speeches.
Businessmen in the audience, who long ago paid off their mortgages, seemed unconcerned. Down the street, a group of data processors who have yet to pay off any personal debt were a little more animated.
I'm getting given nines at 135. I'm nowhere. Have I done anything?
In their terror, they could only speculate how high interest rates may climb.
22!
For his part, Prime Minister Chrétien, speaking on a trade mission in the Southern Hemisphere, says that he prefers fruity rum-based drinks when relaxing in the sun.
Last week was a very difficult one for Quebec separatists. First, one of Premier Parizeau's right-hand men had to resign because of veiled threats he made to the Anglo community if the separatists didn't win. Then the C.D. Howe Institute released a report which predicted economic chaos if Quebec separates. And finally, a dashing, high-profile separatist lawyer appeared all over the media, telling Quebecers that many of the doom and gloom scenarios may well be right. A haggard Parizeau turned to metaphor to try to control the damage.
Could everyone keep their shirt on and hold their horses?
Liberal leader Daniel Johnson was quick to respond at a hastily called press conference. He said, 9 tailors make a man, and if you can't ride 2 horses at once, you shouldn't be in the circus. At last report, Premier Johnson is resting comfortably in a Montreal hospital.
With his government plagued by debt problems and scandal in the military, Prime Minister Chrétien did what many great Western leaders have done before him. He booked a flight down south. His destination, Trinidad. He was met by an elite corps of sous chefs. Then he was introduced to Trinidad's Prime Minister, and 20 minutes later was introduced to him again. Chrétien was prepared for the Caribbean getaway, bringing with him close to 3,000 feather pillows. Taking a page from The Princess and the Pea, the Prime Minister plans to pile the pillows over the peacekeepers and have the first good night's sleep in weeks.
It's been a rocky road for Newfoundland as of late. The fishery's in serious trouble and unemployment is through the roof. However, last week, Newfoundlanders were given some good news, the return of the Ice Age. Iceberg Vodka Corporation intends to use water from the province's 12,000-year-old icebergs to produce premium vodka. Industry Minister Chuck Fury was elated.
I sort of wonder about how you're going to get all these Bergie bits, but that's your problem, not my problem.
With that kind of enthusiasm, Newfoundland's economic future should be about as bright as a candle in a rainstorm. Not to worry, though, just look at what vodka production has done for the Russians.
We are here at the Montreal Olympic Arena in the basement, up in the gondola, waiting for the men's synchronized swimming and air rifle event. The top-seeded competitor is, of course, Billy Smith-Opples. This particular event will be introduced in the next Olympics in 1997, I think. They're every 2 years or every 4 years. I can never keep it straight. He's off. The object in the event is simple: negotiate the water slide, execute the program of moves in the water, and complete the target shoot. He's having a little trouble with balance. Not a perfect entry. Now, the synchronized portion of the event, very creative, nice use of flipper. Bullseye! He's finally got it! Holy smokes! thank God for plexiglass. Not a good day for Smithopolis. He did complete the program, but only made one target. But what a lot of heart he has shown here today, even with a bad score, a disappointing time. He still manages a victory dance for his faithful following. What a competitor. What a Canadian thoroughbred. Man, oh man, oh man! Well, here she is, and this time she's not goofing around. This hour's very own Babe Bennett.
A lot of ex-dumplings out there are feeling pretty steamed these days over deadbeats who think that raising a kid is as easy as falling off a log and just as cheap. Guys with a tall appetite and a short memory who can't seem to finish what they started. Oh, I know how it goes, sister. You're a hot tomato, he says. You're the cat's pajamas, the cream in my coffee, the #1 frail with a heart of gold, and I'm taking you home to mama. And you dizzy kid, you fall for it. Hook, line, and sinker. You're crazy about him. And who could blame you? Why, look at the ears on him. Like little bits of ham in the frying pan. And you bend over backwards for him. Or forwards. That's personal. And the next thing you know, it's Diaper City and you're the mayor. Oh, what gives, huh? What makes Romeo get on the Shoe Leather Express and go permanently AWOL when the bundle of joy arrives? Well, I don't know. Maybe he's a chicken. Maybe he's not a man at all, but a big, fat, hairy chicken in men's clothing. Maybe he's yellow. Yeah, that's it. Why, he's so yellow he thinks he's a bumblebee. That's right. A big, fat, lazy, cheap, irresponsible bumblebee who thinks he can buzz around all day, pollinating till the cows come home. I don't mean that. I'm just kidding. I'm just goofing around. Listen up. If men don't start taking responsibility for their children, then women are always going to be blamed for the fact that men don't take responsibility for their children. You get it? Smarten up, sucker. These days, they can send saps like you to the big house, where you can do some quality time that'll make a day in the park with little Big Mouth and a regular check to the ex feel like winning the daily double. Oh, how about it, pal of mine? Try this on for size. It's called a backbone, and it feels real good once you get used to it.
A federal report on the future of CN Rail was released on Thursday. The report contains many recommendations aimed at helping CN continue rail service into the 21st century. The first recommendation being that people should stop throwing big, huge pieces of steel across the tracks when a train is coming.
It's being called a mini-referendum on the future of Quebec. In a by-election in the riding of Brome-Missisquoi, the Liberals, Conservatives, and Reform Party are all running candidates. But none so formidable as a new Democratic candidate, former wrestling heavyweight Paul the Butcher Vachon. A popular sports figure in Quebec, Vachon has said of his rival, "First I'm gonna smash him, then I'm gonna bash him, then I'm gonna trash him." If successful, Vachon intends to inherit the belt from outgoing champion Audrey the Hawk McLaughlin when he faces off with contender gorgeous Sven Robinson at the October Leadership Convention.
Scientists have found the largest black hole ever. This one is said to have a mass equal to 40 million suns. The science community explained that they continue to look for black holes because they are basically just killing time, since they really don't have what you'd call lives outside the lab or anything resembling a relationship, because they're usually afraid of actually talking to a girl, let alone asking her for a date, so they usually spend endless nights in the lab alone, staring off into space and unlocking the mysteries of the universe.
According to a recent poll, a majority of Britons would prefer that Prince Charles never take the throne. For a response, we go to Beryl and Oswald Drummond in Dover, England. Hello, Dover!
Hello, 22!
An increasing number of Britons would not mind a Queen Camilla. How do you feel about that?
She really doesn't have the kind of face that would grace a stamp, shall we say?
She reminds me of that other ghastly man dressed as a woman, Wallace Simpson.
Now, love.
Well, she would be better suited out haunting houses, dear, wouldn't she?
Okay, what about Anne? 56% of Britons would prefer to see Princess Anne on the throne.
Oh, wonderful idea. Why not just put Mr. Ed on the throne?
Oh,
We remain absolutely loyal to Princess Diana.
Sydney, I personally have 51,500 pictures of her, 160 scrapbooks, posters, plates, stamps, thimbles, spoons.
Bound to be worth a fortune should Diana become the queen.
Well, with Camilla Parker Bowles getting a divorce, it looks like Charles could end up marrying her. What do you think?
Well, I do hope they're not planning one of their treasonous trysts in Dover.
No.
Because you won't see me rinsing up his muddy pajamas or trying to get the chalk stains out of her smalls after they've spent a night rolling about riotously rotting on the White Cliffs.
Well, do you think there's plans for a visit like that?
No, not that we know of. There are certain types of establishment, of course, Sydney, that do cater to that sort of thing.
Yes, Oswald, but they normally rent by the hour. We run a very nice establishment here, Sydney. Nothing vulgar. Our lives do not revolve around the bed spring.
More's the pity.
And we would prefer it if our guests wouldn't either.
Which is one of the reasons why our vacancy rate is so breathlessly high.
Well, thank you for this.
The very idea of the future King of England
Let's
rotting
sing the ad,
around
Beryl.
in a
Let's just sing
mud
the ad. Keep the home fries burning while the butter's churning.
Elite Air Corps magazine presents Oh My God, I'm Embarrassed to Be a Canadian, Volume 1. Shock your neighbors, embarrass your friends, but for God's sake, don't show Mom. Call 1-800-AIRBORNE now and receive a bonus-free soundtrack of Lester B. Pearson spinning in his grave. All copies mailed in a plain brown wrapper.
When I was in grade 4, I woke up and heard Peter Sosky say that the Canadian dollar was only worth 75 cents. I freaked. I took my entire life savings, about $8 and change, went to school, and at recess, I bought 46 fudge sticks. I panicked, see? I was hedging my bet against inflation, and I lost. Half the fudge sticks melted, and I got an ice cream headache. You know the one, right there. Now, 20 years later, the dollar's way down, the debt's way up, and everyone's freaking out because the Wall Street Journal says that we are honorary members of the third world. The pain is coming back. Everyone's just gotta calm down. Stay off the fudge sticks. We're the third world, says who? The Wall Street Journal. And what world do they live in? New York City, one of the biggest sewers on the face of the planet. My advice to the crowd down south, if you live in a glass outhouse, don't go bother throwing stones. Otherwise, people are going to pick them up and they're going to throw them right back at you. We can go toe-to-toe with the Yanks on healthcare, air, water, guns, crime, and the biggest advantage of them all, we're not Americans.
It might be the heart of winter, but will it ever make up its mind? Let's check in with Annabelle Lee.
Unseasonably high temperatures have blanketed the entire continent over the past month. Unseasonable? Whew, it's unreasonable. I'm up on bust. I'm hot. I'm confused. It's the middle of winter and I don't know whether to put on my shorty shorts and take off my parka, or keep on my parka and take off my shorty shorts, or take them both off and dance naked through the streets swinging off light poles like Gene Kelly, singing in the rain. Well, one crowd of bone-throwing sophisto-cosmo conjecturologists blame El Nino. El Nino, wow. But nobody knows what's going on. But I'll tell you the cause, because I know the cause of this winter warmth. The real cause is I went out and bought, for the first time ever, top of the line, down, polar fleece, Gore-Tex bound, parka, hat, and mitts that'd fry a baleen whale. I maxed out 3 cards and took out a second mortgage. I got another job just to put a down payment on this stuff. I came prepared, and that's why it's warm. That's exactly why it's warm. It's me. It's against me. All right, here you go. I'm vulnerable. I'm exposed. That's what you're waiting for, isn't it? Come ahead. Send the snow, the sleet, the freezing rain, the hail. Come on. I'm ready. Here we go.
Scientists in Nova Scotia are excited about a discovery that they say will put them on the Jurassic map. Two brothers walking on a beach discovered footprints that are believed to belong to an ancient Nova Scotian reptilian dinosaur. The footprints led to a surprised and flattered Nova Scotian Premier John Savage, whose only comment was, "As long as I can remember, all savage men had 3 long toes."
A Frenchman trying to swim across the Atlantic Ocean has apparently reached the halfway mark after a month in the water, sources close to the man confirmed. The complete journey of about 3,900 kilometers is fraught with sharks and jellyfish, but he expects to be in the Caribbean by the end of next month. When asked why he undertook such a daunting task, the man was quoted as saying, "I hate to fly."
2 out of every 3 Canadian Catholics don't attend church on a regular basis, but they wouldn't feel half so guilty about it if they lived stateside. American Catholics can now repent and repay in their local shopping malls for just $2 at the all-new automatic confession machine. Just punch your sins into the computer, which then tells you the appropriate number of Hail Marys. 5 for yielding to anger, 20 for lustful impulses, and 100 for murder, along with a hefty $1,500 donation to a Catholic charity. They have no immediate plans to branch into Canada, so lapsed Canadian Catholics will just have to carry on feeling guilty.
A recent newspaper report claims that President Bill Clinton knows that there are space aliens among us, but he refuses to tell the public. We go now to the Okanagan Valley, where we are joined by 2 people who believe in this UFO phenomenon. They wish to remain nameless. Hello to you both.
Thank you for having us on, JB, and all hail!
Thank you. You claim that once a U.S. president is elected, he is told of top-secret information the U.S. military has about an invasion by UFOs?
Clinton most certainly knows about the UFOs, but think about it. If he were to say to the American public, "Run, run, head for the hills, pod people are coming," how would this affect his popularity? Adversely?
I would tend to agree with you there. Now, why do you 2 believe that there are UFOs?
The main reason we profess to believe in the idea of space aliens is that we are space aliens sent from beyond to conquer and rule your planet. All hail!
I see. You are space aliens. I will accept that. But why have the colanders on your heads?
They filter out the high end of the frequencies coming through. It's too technical to get into right now, JB.
And JB, we not only think Clinton knows about aliens, we think he is one.
Do you have any evidence?
Yeah, when he jogs, look at his legs. Do they look human to you?
Ha! Point taken. Now, when will this alien invasion take place exactly?
Well, our space brethren saw the brochures. They say they like the location, and they'll be here in about 30,000 human light years.
Yeah. Give or take a few sectorons. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time.
As you say in this orbit, no sweat, Alouette.
Very good. Good night.
Catch you on the flip-flop. Smoky on my tail. That's a big 10-4. Breaker. Come on back and talk to Teddy Bear. All hail.
Good night.
In a recent survey by a trade magazine called Lodging Hospitality, the mini bar fridge was voted top hotel room amenity. The election was a close one with several amenities in the running. The alarm clock and coffee maker were strong contenders, but once the bed sheet got off the ballot and the towel crossed the floor, the mini fridge clinched the vote on the 3rd ballot.
The AC Nielsen Company of Canada Limited released a list of the 15 most watched television programs in Canada for the final week of 1994. Only one of the 15, the CTV News, was a wholly Canadian program. Nielsen officials were quoted as saying, "How in the hell did this get on the list?"
Liberal MP Mary Clancy found herself in hot water last week. In an interview with the Edmonton Journal, Ms. Clancy joked that members of the Reform Party would bayonet refugees if given the chance. Reform immigration critic Art Hanger said, "For Clancy to suggest that the Reform Party or I want to kill refugees is beyond acceptable, beyond irresponsible, and virtually impossible with our present workload."
And now it's time to go down to New Jersey and check in with this hour's Genoa Hellerstein.
Kimio Pieglia believes that what appears
to be passivity in the myth of Sleeping Beauty is in fact a representation of women's autoeroticism. What? Beauty was in a very deep sleep there, Camille. A coma. She's fairy tales Karen Quinlan. She'd have to be dead to be more passive. Women's autoeroticism. Oh, somebody get a battery pack for Camille Paglia's Silver Bullet. Send her a copy of Hot Chicks Do LA, a vibro cuff, and some sex toys. But other than that crowd of attaché-toting hetero-breeder feminists out there campaigning for better manners, the only one the media covers is that lipstick Lizzie, that designer dyke who believes that Diana, Princess of Wales, is the most complex woman of the 20th century. Yeah, I guess it depends on your definition of complex, Camille. The woman herself said she had the brain the size of a pea. Oh, we have got to stop making statements with our footwear, ladies. We gotta get out from under the patriarchal media grid where the queer nation is all drag queens, archetypal pervs, blazer dykes, psycho killers, and Camille Paglia. We gotta take a huge techno trip into uncharted territories. There is nothing more dangerous today than a dyke with a 386 PC, a hard drive, and a fax modem. Diesel dykes booting it down the information superhighway. Big butch drag kings cruising the net. Funky femmes sampling cybersex. Cyber queers in cyberspace. The new dyke frontier. The virtual reality of one virtual nation. United under the slogan, we're virtually here and we're virtually queer. If you're out, you're in.
Well, that's the way we saw the world this week. For all of us here at this hour as 22 Minutes, I'm Frank McMillan, asking you to remember the words of Lester B. Pearson when he said, "Better to live one day as a lion than a lifetime as a lamb."
Frank, that wasn't Lester B. Pearson, that was Benito Mussolini.
Oh, sorry. Must have been all those days I spent with the airborne.
I suppose so. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
You are watching NTWN, definitely not the Women's Network.
Here are some of the programs coming up on Definitely Not the Women's Network.
On Monday, it's Hot Tub Cinema.
On Tuesday, there will be a Suzanne Summers film retrospective.
On Wednesday, it's Men's Violent Sock Puppet Theater.
And on Thursday, it's Taking Stuff Apart with a Screwdriver.
On Friday, backed by popular demand, Poetry Corner. We have an excerpt.
There once was a milkmaid named Daisy. Her left eye was often quite lazy.
You'll have to tune in for the conclusion of that one.
You sure will. And we will be off the air on the weekend because, of course, we will be at Canadian Tire all day on Saturday.
And we're going to be putting the subfloor in the Rumpus Room on Sunday.
For the Definitely Not the Women's Network, I'm Todd.
I'm Rod.
Keep the faith.